house that is haunted. Right from the start, dear, built on an acre of sand.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. I'm Zada.
And I'm Kelly, and you're listening to
Two Sides in the Truth. So, round two,
ding, ding, ding,
of the week. And so I just want to put out there that every week to come up with one episode an hour wasn't so hard.
Really, yeah.
2 episodes, 45 minutes, a little more challenging.
I think I don't know.
It is a little more challenging.
I'm trying to be like philosophical. I have no idea.
No.
It's harder though.
Well, we hadn't been doing as much lately either. So
we've been some busy women.
I know. I've been busy taming a feral child, and Kelly's been busy living her best life.
Exactly.
So as we discussed in the last episode, my daughter is going through her last 2 weeks at this point of high school, and she's decided she no longer wants to attend. It's created a few problems. So I discussed in the last episode how I had to go to war tactics. Yep. What did we decide it was called? Not that particular episode, but like what war tactics.
It is.
So I've moved from the sound tactic of the loud 9 Inch Nails because we had a situation this morning where she didn't want to go to school again. And so I had to leave work to come home to deal with this situation. And the music wasn't doing it.
She was staying in the bed. So what did you do to get her out of the bed?
Well, I got into it with her and I'm like, you're getting out of bed. Da, da, da. And she's arguing with me. And she said, you're just like your mom.
To try to be a negative.
Yes, she meant that mean. I was like, you're right. I am. What would Sherry Vaughn do? I know what she would do. I remember her doing this with my brother. Zol didn't always like to go to school either, so he had a water bed. So it was the 80s. And so anytime he wouldn't go to school, she would throw water on his water bed. And so if he tried to like roll away from it, it would follow him.
Yeah, there's no getting away from that.
No. And so Zaylee doesn't have a water bed, but she does have an expensive little bed that the kind that like has the remote control where you can adjust the back and everything. And so she does have that. So I was like, okay, well, I put a waterproof cover on that because I was trying to protect the electronic aspects of it. So I was like, all right, Sherry Vaughn, what would you do? I know what you would do. So I filled up a container of Tupperware. And I did announce to her before I did it. I was like, listen, I'm about to pour some water in your bed, so I suggest you move your phone or anything else, because she wouldn't get out of bed, and she was kind of like playing like a possum, like she was dead, like she wasn't even interacting with me. She was just limp. So I was like, okay. So I was like, I'm just letting you know this is about to happen, and she didn't believe me. I'd already gotten so mad, I kind of like kicked her dog's water bowl in her room, and so there was barely any water in it, but it kind of went on her a little bit, and she was pretty mad about that. So that's kind of partially where I got the idea, because at this point, we're all fair in love and war.
Right? We're in war right now.
And you're going to school if it kills us both. I'm not playing around. You're going to school. I've tried everything. And so I went in there, and I'm filling the Tupperware. And as I'm filling the Tupperware, I'm telling her I'm filling the Tupperware, and she is ignoring me and acting like I'm not talking to her because, she's playing possum. So I go in there, and I take this Tupperware, and I just throw the water on the bed. And her. There's no discretion. Yeah. Just, it's on. But there's a waterproof mattress cover, so it's pooling. Just like the water bed. She can't get away from it. She is so mad. She was like, and I'm laughing and finding humor in it. And I'm like, okay, well, you're not comfortable now. Where are you going to sit now? And it didn't go real well, but she did end up at school. It did do the trick.
Well, I'm sorry that you're having to resort to war tactics here. It's
insane. I'm on my third child.
You're going to be in guerrilla warfare before you know it. Like, we're there.
We are there. And so my blood pressure's been a little high lately, and for numerous reasons. But this does not help. And so I'm like, and I knew my blood pressure was going up. I busted the blood vessel in my eye the other day, and that is a red flag for blood pressure. So I was like, I should probably check this out, I guess. I'm bad about that. And so when I recorded with Al yesterday, Al and some other people in the bar were like, girl, this is blood pressure related. Like, do you have blood pressure problems? I'm like, a little bit, occasionally, recently.
Yeah, I mean.
And they're like, you need to check this out. So that started making me think I need to check this out. So last night I told Rick, I text him during the podcast with Al, hey, when you leave working on the boat, pick me up one of these blood pressure things so I can check my blood pressure. And so he did. So when I got home from our podcast we recorded, I went home and I checked my blood pressure and it was high. And then, so I now have this little blood pressure checker. So after the incident with the Zaylee this morning, I checked my blood pressure and it was stupid high.
Yeah. Well,
I've clearly identified the issue.
Yeah.
And so, so I have to work on my blood pressure, and this kid is not helping matters. So that's where I am in life. And for all you other autistic children's parents, our kids with any kind of like, I don't know, special needs or mental health issues, I'm praying for y'all.
Praying for you all the time.
And myself.
That too. I'm glad you called me this morning because I wanted to be able to help you.
I immediately texted Kelly. I was like, girl, you up?
So you're like, I'll come pick you up. I said, heck yeah.
I need you to make sure I don't stroke out or kill my child. It could go either way, you know? So that's where we are. And so in the middle of this, we decided to go ahead and record and make the most of it. So on that note, we were talking about, let's go record. And Sherry Vaughn came up because that was definitely her idea and it worked.
Yep.
And so I was like, let's talk about some of Sherry Vaughn's advice, suggestions as a mother to me. I've talked about them a few times on my podcast and the podcast that I do with Al, which is Third Wheel. And so the main advice my mom really pushed towards me was, it's just as easy to love a rich man as a poor man. I'm just being honest. That was her advice.
I mean, if you think about it.
She was married 9 times. And they weren't all rich. So she really did know what it took to love a rich man compared to a poor one, because I personally know she actually did both. But she would always tell me, why would you settle for poor if you can get rich? Like and I understand where she's coming from, because it makes a difference on how hard your life is in aspects, unless the guy's a complete dick. And so that was some Sherry Vaughn advice for you. The other Sherry Vaughn advice is that women need to keep men, honestly, need to keep their toes looking good.
Got to keep them toes looking.
And that sounds really simple. But my mom, and we've discussed it on the podcast before, my mom was in a car accident when she was like 18 and out in San Saba, and it was a pretty bad wreck. Everybody lived and walked away from it, but the car flipped and they were stranded out in the middle of nowhere because they were like cruising country roads, probably drinking and shit, And so they flipped the car. And so the girl, it was a double date, her and a guy, and then her friend and a guy. And I don't know if she was her friend. It might have been the guy's friend. Anyways, there's another couple. And after the wreck, the girl lost her shoes and you could see her feet or a shoe. I don't know if it was both. And they had to walk for help. This is obviously before cell phones in the late 60s.
Yeah.
And so they went looking for help, and I think they had to walk like a mile or two. The stretch between Goldthwaite and San Saba. Yeah. That's where they were. So she couldn't stop staring at this girl's feet because her feet were unkept. So they were not just not painted, but just not kept, like trimmed, maintained. Really bothered my mom. I don't know why, but she really felt like your feet are an idea of the cleanliness of your life. Like, if you don't maintain your feet, then you don't care about shit, and you need to maintain your feet. And it was really a big deal to her. The irony in the situation is that my mom, when she was breastfeeding me, she had me at 22. So around 23, 24 years old. She had a mowing accident, and she sliced off part of her big toe on one of her feet. Wow. And in the process of that, her big toe, this is disgusting. She would be so mad at me for telling this story. I'm sorry, Mom. Her big toe on that foot, it was her right foot, looked like like those popsicles, you bite them and they have that look where you can tell where the center of the popsicle is. That's the best description I can give. Like one stick popsicle. You bite it, like straight up bite it. You see how all these like frozen pieces are pointing to the center. Mm-hmm. That's what her toe looked like, because this happened in the 70s and she didn't have health care. So this is like government hospital. They just like grabbed all her skin, pulled it towards the middle of her toe, and like sewed it there. Yeah. It almost looks like they stapled it in the middle, honestly.
Well, won't be surprised.
She never got her toenail back, but on top of that toe looked like a bit off popsicle. And so she never went without a closed-toed shoe the rest of my life. And that happened when I was like a few months old. And she never went, which is sad.
It really is. But that's what I'm saying. When you have that kind of mentality,
Expectation.
yeah. If you're seeing the way a foot looks and it has that much weight on it, and you're going to let it control that much of your life and how you judge another person, well, that's not a way to live.
It was what she was bred.
Yeah.
That's why she was bred. And so it was a big deal for me growing up where my feet always had to look good.
That's learned behavior right
It
there.
is. And I'm going to tell you, I do the same thing.
Learned behavior.
It definitely is. And
I don't care what a person's foot looks like as long as you keep it off me. I don't care what it looks like.
I do have
I'm not going to touch it anyways. Even if it's really pretty or it's really ugly, I'm not going to touch it anyway. So I don't care what it looks like.
If you're in bed, like if your significant other's feet are gross,
No.
you don't want them. You don't ever play footsies or
No.
your feet don't get cold and you don't like.
No. I will put my feet on, my boyfriend, but is he allowed to put his feet on me? No, that's fighting words.
That's funny.
We're going to fight.
Yeah, no.
He does it to fight with me though.
Rick tries to do it on occasion, but he has claws. Like they're not bad looking. They're not like unkept looking, but they're sharp on occasion.
Yeah, if they grow out. Like,
Yeah, and I'm like, keep that shit over there, way over there.
that's fighting words right there.
But I always have
My
a fresh
boyfriend
pedicure.
likes to fight with me though. When it's like playful fighting like that, he knows I'm going to fight with him, but he likes it. So like he's going to do it anyways.
Fair.
There's no winning.
Well, so my other advice, and obviously I do not mean y'all need to take this advice.
Yeah, we never give advice. We're just going to tell you.
I'm just telling you
We're
what
just
I
telling
was
you
raised
stuff.
like.
We're just telling you a whole bunch of stuff,
Yeah.
and you can pick through that as you would like
Do
to.
what you want with this information. I'd like to throw out there before I give any more advice from Sherry Vaughn is that she was married 9 times.
9.
Okay. So just putting that out there. Okay. So her other advice was to always keep your looks because a pretty woman can get anything no matter what.
I mean,
Am I wrong?
I would correct that to a pretty woman can get a lot of things. That's true. They really can.
Yeah.
But
that's accurate.
It's also a pretty intelligent woman.
But it doesn't always take intelligence.
It doesn't always.
Like
it just
you can't,
helps.
you
It
can't
helps
say
a little bit.
an intelligent woman can get anything she
No,
wants.
she can't. It just helps
It-
if you're a little bit, or a beautiful, manipulative woman can get.
Okay, well that's a different
whatever
ball
they
game.
want.
Yeah, but my mom was all about just making sure you maintain your looks. That was what got her through in many aspects.
Well,
of life.
you know what? I've been told many times in my life to sit and look pretty. So I completely agree with
Yeah.
that situation.
Yeah.
Like you're supposed to sit there and you're just supposed to look pretty.
Yeah.
And that's a horrible thing to be told
Yeah.
just because I don't consider, not that I don't think I'm pretty, but I don't act as if my looks are great. I
Yeah.
act like I act.
Yeah.
But when you have been told from a young age
Yeah.
to shut up and look pretty,
Yeah.
that does something to your psyche.
And a lot of women are told that.
It does a lot to your psyche.
Yeah, a
because
lot
you
of women
feel
are
like
done
you
that.
can't say anything. Nothing that you do or say is worth of any value. The only value that you hold is the way that you look.
Yeah.
I want to be able to, the way I can look at you and the way I can use you is the only value.
Well,
that
and
you
this
have.
is definitely a generational conversation because even between your and my generation, how we're raised is different because I was raised that as a woman, it will get you farther than any amount of smarts. And I'm not just by my mom, by society.
Yeah.
You know, now thankfully I had my stepmom. I mean, I love my mom to death, but looks got her a lot in life, you know, and my stepmom was just as pretty. I'm going to put that out there. My stepmom was stunning, but, she just wasn't raised like the same way, I guess. And so my stepmom was more about women's rights and, being smart and being educated and, you know, informed. And so she taught me that aspect. And so I really got a healthy combination of the two. But my mom's was looks related, and I will not lie, it got her a lot in life, you know? But I would not want it to be what consumed me. Because at one point, my mom, you know, she had multiple cancers through her life, but at one point she had nostril cancer a few too many times. And they basically told her, listen, if you get it again, we have to remove your nose. Like, that's what's going to happen. And so she was like, I'll just die.
Oh no.
And that's what we're creating with our kids.
Yeah.
And so I'll just die. I can't look unattractive and I'll just die. And I can remember when she told me that, and that's what her choice was going to be if that's what they came back. And I was like, Mom, as your child,
Yeah.
fuck if you got a nose.
Right.
I was like, they make like fake noses if you're uncomfortable, but there's other options. Like you can have surgery, whatever. And she was like, no, I just will die. And I just remember thinking to myself,
yeah. What would it take with you to be like, I don't want to take us down that road, but like to be like, no, I'm not comfortable with living without this limb, like a finger, a hand, an arm.
yeah, I get the nose is
an
probably
arm and a leg. I mean, I understand that's on your face,
Right.
but like people deal with like acne and different stuff, or like burns or something like on your face. And like, it comes a time where something can't be more valuable than your whole entire existence. Like,
yeah.
And the
I
only
think-
reason you feel that way is because of the backlash that would come from the people who are viewing you. When you're out in public, walking around, the attention that you get, the looks that you get, the pressure that you get, the questions that you get, it can get to be too much. I can understand that because society is so messed up.
But then you also have somebody that gets all that attention. You have someone real attractive, and I would consider my mom a very attractive woman, and it was what she was known for. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. And so you have someone really attractive that everybody like worships how attractive they are, and then they lose that, and then you get ignored by everybody, and people are afraid to ask questions, and they're afraid to look at you, not because you look so bad as much as they don't want to make you uncomfortable, even making, you know what I mean? And then you don't know how to handle that. And as a woman who has gained and lost weight like I do, I am a fluctuator of weight. And I see the attention I get based on how big I am. Like, it's real. And it doesn't bother me because I'm comfortable with my body both ways, but it's obvious, and it's stupid. But it's real. And so I always think to myself, if I lost a nose, I wouldn't want to die, but I would need therapy.
Yeah, it'd be a whole nother level.
I need extensive therapy over that BS.
I totally agree.
So on top of that, you're only as good as your look. I mean, I don't know how else to put it.
But I love to fight against that norm.
Yeah.
Because there's so much more important things than that. Like, what if you had been born blind into this world and you can't see what anybody looks like or what you look like?
Right.
That whole thing is null and void.
Right.
And that doesn't mean your existence is.
Right.
That means that sense is. We cannot give so much power to the senses that we have that were given to us. Like, one is not more important than the other.
Right.
They all work in tandem. If you don't have one, that doesn't mean they're any less.
No, but unfortunately, society pushes something else down their people's
Fuck
throat.
society. That's why I don't have
agree.
social media. That's why if you're any kind of like freaking,
But
you're
my
gonna
mom didn't
judge
have
me.
social media. This was not social media. That was
fucked up before we even had a reason to be fucked
yeah.
up.
That's just how women are trained.
It really is. It's learned behavior. It's society behavior. It's conditioning being put into you to make you feel a certain way.
Right.
You had no even say. You had no say.
Well, and it even goes, like, we often talk about women friendships, right? And with women friendships, you have women that have had either a bad example in their life with a woman friendship, or their mother did.
Yep. So,
And it burned the bridge for you. Your mother doesn't trust other women, so she teaches you not to trust other women.
and she doesn't give you the toolbox that you need to deal with women and
Right.
to build women relationships. You have to have a toolbox to build a relationship. Most people focus on their opposites attract toolbox because they're trying to attract a mate. They don't focus as much on their whoever they're trying to be friends with toolbox. And usually that tends to be the same sex because it's like a safe area.
Yeah.
With guys, it's guys, and with girls, it's girls. But regardless, the friendship area, if you don't know how to build a friendship with other women, or if you're a man, other men, you limit yourself because you really need that to be able to develop and evolve as a species.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that a lot of times that we let the sins of others determine our fates.
Yeah, it manifests in our lives.
It does.
Like, it spills over from their life. It's just like hereditary. When you pass on a disease or something to a child, toxicity and that kind of thing can be passed down just the same way. If your mother or father or your caregiver has toxicity in them, they can breathe that into you without you even being aware of it. Just as bad as, like, any kind of abuse or molestation or whatever, that stuff is bred into the people. Just like I'm saying, when you've said before, the hand that rocks the cradle, rules the world.
Yeah.
Like you can instill anything you want into a being that can't say yes or no to it.
Yeah.
So, and that can be anything. That can be the way they look, the value that they have, what they're supposed to believe in. Everything is bred from a very young age. And if you're not smart enough and you don't equip yourself.
I don't know if it's smart enough is the right word.
It is, because there comes a level of IQ that you have to be able to self-check yourself. Some people don't self-check themselves.
But that comes with age too.
That's what age is, knowledge.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's all IQ. It is, if you're too young to have the time to develop the brain set that you need to fight back against the things that are hurting you, you're not to that intellectual level. And some people are held back by other people. They don't ever get there because they're never allowed to get there.
Yeah.
And
Off the subject, but on it, this reminds me, I had a conversation the other day with somebody that had left a church, and this, I want to call the church a cult. It is a cult, but I'm not going to name the church, but it's a cult. And it is, I don't want to say it's not a mainstream church for Texas, but it is a mainstream church, I guess-ish, in the United States. And in this church, they have very odd beliefs in my world, but, to each their own. And so I met this person the other day, and them and their wife had left that church after being raised in the church. Everybody knew was in the church. The church was every aspect of their life, like every education, everything. And they had children. They got married like they were expected. They had children like they were expected. And then COVID hit. And for some reason, things happened in their lives that made them start questioning things. And they were able to start researching things. And I'm talking they're my age. Yeah. Okay. And they realized they're in a cult. Like can you imagine being almost 50 years old and you realize you were raised in a cult that you've been in your entire life?
It's like the blinds have been taken off your eyes.
Yes.
Like, what the heck?
And it was, they didn't know any better because everybody they knew was in that same
they were
cult.
Consumed. They were
there was nobody
consumed.
out of that cult. And so they didn't know any better. And it's been eye-opening. And that's what they said. They were like, I did not know I should be questioning things because I was taught that if you question things, you're a sinner.
Exactly. That's, oh my gosh, that makes me so sad for them. But I understand how it's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
And it's not.
And they may be a guest on this show. I think I talked them to be a guest on the show because I was like, we need to talk about this.
I sure hope so. We like some spicy content on here.
But yeah, and I resonated with I understood where they were coming from because even though I wasn't raised in any kind of religious setting, and I really was not, my mom was not a big church person. I was raised in a very Southern setting, and I love the South and I love many Southern traditions, but there's some aspects of it in regards to women that I do not agree with, and I definitely buck against those things. But it took me till I was probably I take it back. I was a teenager bucking against it, but it created problems. I lost relationships in my family and my friends. It affected it gave me a lot of problems, and I bucked against it. And then I accepted it, and then I bucked against it again. Like, it's a mental game,
It can be, and it shouldn't be, but it definitely is.
But it is.
Organized religion is not for me.
And it might be for other people to each their own.
I'm a spiritual person. I believe in a higher power, and I respect that higher power, but I don't, other than that.
You don't need to go and be educated by some prophet.
No, I like community, and I love everybody, and it doesn't matter if I'm at church or if I'm at a bar or if I'm at a gas station filling up the tank. Nothing is different to me. So I'm not going to act a different way. I'm not going to think a different thing. I'm not going to treat somebody any differently just because you're at church or if you're on a corner somewhere.
Right.
And a lot of people who are at church, it's different to them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I am
somebody who doesn't believe what you believe.
I became like cynic's not the word. I became the investigator. Anything you told me, I investigated.
Exactly.
And I wanted to know.
I don't trust man-made things.
I want to know, where did you find this information out? Where did they find this information out? Who told them that? Who wrote this down? How long ago did they write this down? Did they actually write it down, or is this just a verbal story?
Yeah, how did they translate it?
Yeah, and was it only men translating it?
And you weren't there, so how do you? You have to go off of somebody who told you that it's this way, like.
Yeah.
I never grew up. I grew up in church, and I grew up with organized religion. But from a very young age, I understood what it was. I understood the facade around it because it wasn't a safe place for me at that time. But I had my connection with myself and the Holy Spirit that I was able to understand it at a very young age. So it never had the power over me that it can have over a lot of people,
Right.
to where this church is the answer and these people are the answer and this Bible is the answer. That's not what the answer is to me. Okay.
Yeah.
It can be a helping tool, but is that the answer? No. If you believe that, you've already lost it.
Well, and I've always believed too that it is my personal journey is mine and no one else's, and theirs is not mine. And I'm not telling you how to live your life and what journey you should take. And I don't want you to tell me what journey I should take. But if you're in an unhealthy situation like a cult,
Yep. Or an abusive situation. That's being
situation.
covered up because of
that's
religion.
not okay.
Not okay.
Now, if you want to go worship your God and believe this and preach it on Facebook or whatever you want to do, that's fine. That's awesome. You do you.
Yeah.
But if I don't believe you, I don't agree with you.
You can't be mad at me.
Yeah. And I'm a critical thinker. I'm a break it apart and tear it down. And not everybody likes that. It is not for everybody.
Definitely not.
But I am not for everybody. But I will put out there, as much as my mom was raised in the Southern atmosphere of women and expectations of women and such, my dad also raised that way, but nothing like that because he was a man. The same expectations weren't put on him.
Nope.
And my stepmom was kind of raised that way, but she was a wild card, you know? And they taught me a lot of my standing up for being a woman. And I mean, I'm going to give my stepmom Cindy so much credit for me as a person, like especially me in my 20s. Like she was marching in Washington for women's rights in the 80s. In the 80s, nobody marched for women's rights. They did in the 40s, 50s, 60s, even the 70s. But by the 80s, it was Reagan era, and it had just kind of died. And there was some headway being made, so people kind of like let it go. She did not, man. She was marching in Washington. So her and my dad were really financially strapped. My dad was working. He had gotten out of the organized crime business and and decided to pursue a degree. So he was in college, and he was working in a factory, and he was living a good life. He wasn't doing anything he shouldn't be doing. And my stepmom wanted to go march in Washington. There was an event going on. And so she bought a bus ticket and rode a bus from Arkansas to Washington, D.C. and stayed for a week and marched in Washington for women's rights. And this is probably about 1985. I was a kid. And I remember being so proud of her. And my dad, it was in the summer. In the summer, I spent time with my dad. And it was like right before I left to go home for the summer. And my dad took us to the bus station to tell her goodbye and to help her get on the bus and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And I was so proud of her. Like, I just thought this was the coolest thing ever. And I was raised by hippies, so that was the women I knew. And so she comes home, and I'm already home by then. And she calls me and checks on me and talks to me. And she was like, oh, and I was like, how was the trip? You know, she was like, well, this is my only memory of her telling me about the trip. This is so silly. She was like, well, I got on the bus, and everybody had beat me to the bus. And so only seat left was the seat in the very back of the bus, and it won't recline. Like all the other seats recline, so nobody wanted that seat. So everybody else was in the reclined seats, which would mean you had on one side of the bus you had two people next to each other, on the other side of the bus you had three people next to each other, but you could recline. She goes, this very back seat had three seats, but none reclined, so nobody took them, and they were the only three empty seats on the bus. And this is probably a 10, 12-hour bus ride.
Okay.
You know. And she goes, so I just set up a little spot and I fell asleep there, laid across all three. I didn't have to recline. I had a whole bed. She goes, I had the best spot on the entire bus.
That's awesome.
And isn't that weird? That's my only memory of
That's important, though.
her going.
That's perspective and looking at the glass half full.
Yeah. And it's so funny because, I mean, it has literally been, 40 years. And that's my memory of her going on the bus for women's rights. And then she went and she walked for women's rights and that kind of stuff. So I just really benefited from having a woman that's old school Southern, but I also had a woman that was, pro women, everything. And it really created the person I am.
Yeah, that's a good mixture. I guess you need kind of both.
Yeah. Yeah, I think of her every time there's any kind of woman thing going. I'm like, Cindy, I got to represent. She was a bad bitch, man. She was a bad bitch.
Yep.
I give Sherry Vaughn a lot of credit, but Cynthia Ann deserves a lot of credit as well.
Amen.
Amen. So what we got next? We got summer bucket list.
Summer bucket list. I'm so excited for summer. Oh my gosh.
It's supposed to be maybe 100 degrees on Friday here.
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna have to be in the water somewhere. I'm gonna have to call into work.
So what's on your bucket list? Let's name 3 things on each bucket list. What's your 3 things I have to do no matter what by the end of the summer you have to do?
One, this was the same one as last summer. Last summer, one of my top things was I am going to be in water as much as possible. So, because it happens so often that's my favorite thing to do, but I let myself get so busy over summer because I work full time. So it's like the busy season for me. But last year I was like, I'm not going to miss an opportunity for me to be in some kind of water, whether that be a lake or a river or the ocean or a pool or a water fountain. I don't care what it is. I'm taking my clothes off and I'm getting in the water. And last year was really good. I got a lot of water time. Yeah. So I'm carrying that over to this year. I'm going to be in that water as often as I can. So boom.
I'll concur. Same.
I'm gonna wear a swimsuit under everything. I'm gonna wear a swimsuit when I go to work. It's gonna be underneath my work clothes. If I go out, I'm gonna have a swimsuit underneath my dress. Like I'm gonna be ready. I'm ready to get in that water.
Where's your favorite place you've ever been swimming?
Really, it's hard to say favorites because I love any kind of body of water. So I like the things that are easy for me to access though. So whenever I'm in Frost, we go to Navarra Mills. I like it there because they have like this man-made beach area. So it's like sand before you get into the water. And I like that because you can just close your eyes and like act like you're in the Bahamas or something like that. So I like that. Yeah. And it's like they have a lot of really good camping grounds. Like it's really pretty out there. So if you're going to take a trailer out to camp, like that's where I want to go. I want to go out
Rick
there.
and I fish there a lot.
It's a pretty,
we don't usually camp there, but we do
Yeah.
fish there.
Other than that, I really like rivers. I like it whenever we go down to the river, to the cabin. I like to take my clothes off. Okay. I like to be nude is the best.
You should tell the story about you this weekend at the cabin and Bonnie surprising you.
Well, I think I touched on it. Did you tell that story? Yeah, because she came down because she was with her boyfriend and she had to make sure that we had our clothes on before she was going to let her boyfriend come down.
I thought we just had this conversation in person.
And I was like, you're so smart. You know me so well because when I'm somewhere where I know that I have privacy and there's not cameras and there's water, the clothes are coming off.
Yeah.
Okay. Especially if it's my girlfriends, there's those guys around. I'm sorry, y'all are gonna have to deal with it. Like Kelly's getting naked. Yeah. And my friends know that. I mean, if you know me really well and you're in an intimate environment like that with me, you know I'm getting naked and I'm getting in that water. It's happening. So, but when I'm around other people, I will respect other people and I'll wear a bathing suit. You know, I don't have anything against bathing suits. I would just rather not have to wear it.
Especially if you're going to spend hours in the sun, if you can get fully tan rather than partially.
Exactly. When I go to the cabin, I'm always topless. I'll wear bottoms just to be somewhat, PG-13 that's not PG-13.
No. You're R instead of X-rated.
I'll wear bottoms, but that's it. That's all you're getting. If you're a woman, you don't get to say. You can take yours off too, and it can be a party, but I'm not putting mine back on. So deal with it.
So what's your third one? What's your third bucket list?
My third one is I want to be on boats more. I really love boats. I love going across the water. I see
a theme here.
Yeah, I know. So it's always wanting to be out on the
cabin,
water.
a lake tiny house.
I want to spend, and one of the things I've done this year, because usually I work full time over the summer. This summer, I'm not going to be exactly full time, so that will help. So I'll actually have more time, and I'm still taking my Wednesdays off, so I'll have a day off during the week. Where I'll be able to,
Will you still be taking every other Friday off?
Yeah. No, I'm not. I'm working Fridays, but I'm staying the Wednesdays off. So it's going to help.
All right. I'm thinking as we ask this what my bucket list is. And I would say that my bucket list is, number one, to give myself me time.
Me time. Oh my gosh. Yes. Let's get on board with that.
Yeah. because as you
I
know, I
think I
have
need
4
4.
children, and I know it sounds like I give myself a lot of me time, but I don't. I give myself a lot of time with other people, but not always me time.
Makes a difference.
And sometimes me time does mean other people, but sometimes it means being by yourself.
Yeah.
So going to dinner by yourself, going to the cabin by myself like I did a few weeks ago, just that kind of time. But also what I've always done, which is giving myself time with my girlfriends, because, once you have a significant other living with you, it's a little more challenging, which is understandable.
Yeah.
But also having children makes it more difficult.
Yes.
Having children with special needs makes it extra difficult. But I always just feel like for my own mental health, I have to do that. And I need to give that example to my girls and my boys, so they know that in the future, should their wives or husbands, whatever happens,
Or them.
yeah, whoever, I just feel like you should have your own personal time. It's not always about, the significant other. My other thing I would say would be to concentrate on spending more time with my older children. Because they're adults, and once they're adults, you tend to let them get lost in their own lives.
Yeah.
And I'm not the kind of mom where I'm like, you have to come visit me, because our connection's strong no matter if I see you in person or not. But you do start missing them, and they shouldn't always have to come to me. And so to give myself, I need to come to them.
Yeah.
So to make that a focus. And I would say my third focus is to see my dad more. Because he is only 45 minutes to an hour away, depending on what time of day you go. But it's all traffic. Like, it is the worst drive of all drives.
I can't do that.
And I'm anti-city. Like, I can't drive in the city anymore. I used to live in the city. Like, it used to be no big deal. But now when I go, my anxiety kicks up. But also, I just by the time I get to where I'm going, I'm pissed.
Yeah, and you're exhausted.
And I'm exhausted. And then the whole time I'm dreading the drive home.
Oh, yeah.
But, my dad is not young, and I need to be there more, and I'm going to regret that I didn't go more. And I was going all the time, and I just, the last 2 or 3 years, the kids, in high school have made it harder. But I have to prioritize that. So see my dad more, see my older kids more, see myself more.
So proud of you.
Now, I would like to do all those things in a body of water.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
Hey, your dad has a nice pool.
He has a wonderful pool, so that's problem 1 solved. Obviously, the cabin solves the other one, where me time, whatever the case is. And you and I are really good about just running to the lake on a weekday after work or whatever. And so I plan to incorporate that.
Yeah.
And then with my older kids, I asked you what your favorite body of water that you've been swimming in, or your favorite swim place is. And my favorite time I've ever gone swimming, and that's saying a lot, because I've swum in the craziest fucking places you've ever seen, was a few years ago. I went to Austin to visit my older daughter, and I randomly got a wild hair in the middle of the night, and I took an Uber to Zilker Park, which is in Austin.
Dude, I've been there too. It's amazing.
It's beautiful, but I went in the middle of the night.
Oh my gosh.
And I took my gun.
Is so cool. You took your gun.
It's Austin. Have you been there? It's
Yes,
a little sketchy lately. So I had my hippie purse on me, and I got my gun in my purse and everything. But I just wanted to go swimming so people that don't know, if you go to Austin, there's Zilker Park, which is amazing and beautiful. And in the middle of Zilker Park is this amazing natural pool, and it's natural spring fed, and it is cold as shit.
So refreshing.
And it's called Barton Springs. Look it up.
It's so pretty.
It is freezing. I don't know what the temperature is, but I'm going to guess 40 something. It's cold. Okay. So it connects through the stream of where it is. It connects down a little river channel thing into Lady Bird Lake. And so it starts to get warmer as you get a little bit further down, because they start mixing. That's my honey spot. Mm-hmm. So I don't need to be in Barton Springs, and I don't need to be in the lake. I need to be right in the middle of that. Right. And it's a honey spot, because it's still cold, which it's Texas, so that's a plus. But you're not going to lose your nipples.
Yeah. They're not just going to fly off.
They're not going to just break off if you hit one. So in the middle of the night, I'm like, I'm going to Zilker Park, and I'm going to go swimming. And that's what I did. So yes, I had my gun with me, and maybe a drink. And I get in the Uber, and the guy's like, where do you want to go? I'm like, I'm going to Zilker Park. And he was like, to do what? because it's like 1, 2 a.m. And I'm like, I'm going
to kill somebody.
Yeah, and I'm going swimming. He goes, where? I said, in the water in Zilker Park. He goes, Barton Springs is closed this time of night. And I was like, I don't care. I just need you to drop me
Not
off.
going into Barton Springs.
Yeah, just drop me off.
They have a spot in there that is they have it gated off.
You have to pay to get in.
And you have to pay to get in and everything like
Which
that.
is funny because when I was a kid in the 70s, it was topless.
Oh, I love that.
It's not anymore, but in the 70s, it was topless.
That's
Not
so cool.
everybody would go topless, but you would see people topless, and it was no big deal.
But there's other parts of the lake that are just open to the public. So
Yes,
you can go whenever you want.
So I'm going to an open to the public part, but it's 2 a.m. on I want to say it was a Tuesday.
Going up.
Yeah, on a Tuesday. So I set up my little stuff over on the bank. There's nobody out there. Like I'm by myself, So I set up my little stuff and talk about some me time. And so I went out swimming. You know what I did? I took my purse and I took it to the other side of the bank where there is no easy path to. Like you have to be hiking and no one's hiking at 2 a.m. So that my gun and stuff was hidden there.
Yeah.
And I made that my camp spot so that if anyone approached me, they would have had to approach me. They would have been really weird.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't near a trail, anything. So I swam over there. So I'm over there and I'm relaxing in the water. I was there probably an hour and a half and I'm just having a great time. And then I hear this couple coming down the walkway on the other side that I came from, but I swam across from. And I hear them and they are just in love and beautiful and young 20s. And they're just loving it and talking. And they have no idea I'm there. And I'm like, do I tell them?
Do I call out or do I just act like I'm not here?
Yeah. So I didn't know what to do. And they were obviously innocent, like young kids, And so I waited till they were there for a second. They got out. They got in the water, directly across from me and never saw me. Because it's dark. It's moonlight. And so I waited till they got in the water. I was like, hey, y'all. What jumped? Can you imagine?
Oh, my God.
They jumped. And I was like, it's okay. I'm just swimming. I just wanted y'all to know it's here because, you're there.
Yeah.
12 feet from me.
Didn't want it to get any weirder than it already is.
Yeah, but hey, y'all. They got out immediately and left. It's my spot, bitches. I've been here since the 70s. Anyway, so that's my favorite swimming spot time thing ever. Best memory. I loved it. I can't tell you how much I loved that moment. And it was just a spur of the moment. I wanted to go swimming in my hotel pool is what happened.
Oh, yeah.
And it was closed.
Oh, man. That's what I'm saying. I hate pools that have closing out.
Yeah. And my daughter works at Coyote Ugly. And so I had gone to her work to hang out with her while she was working. And she had to still work and close the bar down. And so I was like, well, I'm going back to my hotel. And then I was like, I want to go swimming. It was hot as hell. It was still 100 degrees. It's middle of the night and it's 100 degrees. And I'm like, but I knew it was already closed because I asked them what time does the pool close. And so I was like, where can I go swimming in the middle of the night? Zilker Park. Let's go.
Oh, dang. What I'm talking about.
So I would like to do that again.
I would like to do that too.
Let's do it. Let's go visit my daughter.
Okay. Say
Let's
less.
go do that. Okay. So that's on our bucket list together.
I would say yes. I want to go swimming.
Done deal.
At Zilker Park.
In the middle of the night.
In the middle of the night.
With my gun.
Yeah. With that. A couple other things probably,
Maybe,
but,
whatever. But a gun, definitely.
Definitely a gun.
There's a lot of homeless people that are on drugs in Austin, It's not, it's
It's interesting though.
Praying for them on there.
Yes. We're going to put them on the prayer list.
It really means a lot coming from me. God's like, this shit's real when Zada does it. If Zada's doing it,
I got to listen to this shit. Hold on.
Yeah, write this down.
I'll be quiet.
Jesus,
Elvis.
Jesus, we got Zada on the phone.
You said Jesus, I said Elvis.
Elvis.
Pop down in the background.
Yeah, calm down. Jesus, Zada's on the phone and she said to pray. We think she's serious. Yeah, no.
You might want to look into this.
Wait, bless my heart and wait.
Bless your heart.
Yes.
But mine, my heart. Anyways, we're looking for the summer. What else we got? I love the fact that the next two things written are rabbit hole, which we just did. Nailed it. And we get weird. Nailed it.
Time to get weird. Are you ready?
What you got? What else you got? And then our ball. What was that? Our ball.
Reckoning ball.
Reckoning
We're going to ask the
ball.
reckoning ball questions.
What are we going to ask it?
Am I going to get wet today? Okay, so we were talking about going to the lake, okay? Because
But it was record or go to the lake.
it was, and we decided to record. Now, do we still have time to get wet? I don't know. We'll see about
Before I
that.
pick up my... No, I have to go to the doctor. Good gravy, no.
Okay, well, I guess it knows what it's talking
Okay,
about.
are we going to get wet this weekend?
Dun, dun, dun. If we can make Sunday work, okay?
Okay.
Sunday can
Say.
work for me.
Wait. I got to move it around. Aren't you precious?
Yes.
That means
So
good
that
luck.
means yeah.
Aren't you precious? That means maybe. I don't
Well,
know,
okay,
man, but
I'll
you're a
take
little
that.
special.
I'll take it.
It could happen, but it's not likely.
It's almost like a bless your heart moment.
It is a aren't you precious?
Aren't you
I
precious?
don't know if I said this. I don't think I said this on the podcast. I think I told you this in person. Maybe it was on the podcast. I don't know. But where I saw a TikTok where it was a gay guy and he said I love that for you from a gay man is the same thing as a Southern woman saying bless your heart.
I love that.
And I thought, if that's not fucking true,
I love that.
I love that for you.
I love that for you.
And so I decided
That's
because
so true.
I love gay men so much, as everybody knows. I'm not kidding. That now I want to just
Favorite
say
category,
that.
yeah.
I want to say that all the time now. I want to be like, I love that for you.
I do. We need to adopt that for sure.
Oh, we need a T-shirt. I love that for you. Definitely.
Well, we're good.
All right.
We're spot on.
We will have y'all join us again on our next episode.
Drop your stuff. 'Cause
Oh
we didn't
yeah,
last time.
we forget to do this.
She always just wants to just skirt out of here without telling y'all how to get a hold of us. Now, how rude is that?
I'm an
I want
asshole.
people messaging me. And
I'm an asshole. Ask anyone.
Am I the asshole?
Am I the asshole? Z Mamacita on Instagram and Zada Zada on Facebook. Not .Owens. That's my email. Anyway, Zada Owens on Facebook.
I guess you can email her now too.
Zada.owens93 at Gmail. It's also my work email, so it's just stuck in my head. Anyways, that's me. If y'all want to find us, if you want to message us, if you want to talk about something, we have a good episode coming up pretty soon. We have a guest, and I'm pretty excited about it.
Yes.
And then Kelly, where do we find you?
I'm Kelly Lady Pearl on Instagram. Good luck, but I've been trying to get on there more. I don't have any other social media, but if you can also email the podcast at twosidesinthetruthpodcast@outlook.com.
And, let us know if you have any questions or comments or whatever.
Concerns.
And if you could please like, review, and share us.
Yes, please. If you leave us a review, it doesn't even have to be a 5-star review. We'll read it. We love you. You can leave us a 1-star review. We'll read it.
As long as you're not just being a dick and you're being honest. But also because if you can like and share it, sharing it gets your friends to listen to it. And if you have a girlfriend or guy friend that you feel like this would resonate with, please share.
Yeah.
Like, you enjoy it. We want you to let other people enjoy it with you.
Yes.
If you don't enjoy it and you don't want to share it, I don't give a fuck about that either.
We still love you.
But if you do, share it. All right. And that's
the bottom
it.
line is share.
Share it, bitches. Share it. Okay? I thought you were my friend. No, I'm kidding. Bye. I'll talk to y'all later. Love you. Bye.